Hello, welcome to Cheap SMTG. I'm Alex, and today we'll be going through a standard deck for the new Shadows over Innistrad standard. So, the Shadows cards have just been released on Magic Online, and this is a deck I've been planning for a few weeks now. So, it's a green-black deck that is based around Delirium. In theory, the deck could be quite aggressive, sort of a beatdown deck. Though in the limited practice I've had so far, it's been more of a sort of mid-range deck. So I'll go through some of the card choices. To start with, we're playing 3 Traverse the Ulenwold. So this is a tutor card that becomes very useful once you've enabled Delirium. It also means you can limit the number of lands you're playing. So we're only playing 23 because Traverse means that if we do keep a 1 or a 2 land hand with a Traverse, we can search for another basic. Playing 3 Vessel of Nascency. This is purely a Delirium enabler. It is a form of card selection, which can be nice, but it does fundamentally, it puts an enchantment in your graveyard for Delirium and means that you can generally have Delirium enabled by turn 4. Playing 4 Grasp of Darkness as just solid removal spell. Deathcap Cultivator, it's a mixture of ramp, benefits from Delirium. It means we can get out some plays like a turn 3 Mindwreck Demon, which is quite sweet. 3 Sylvan Advocate as probably the best 2-drop in the format, or if not the best, definitely one of the best. That gets better in the late game and works well with the manlands we have. A couple of Read the Bones, just because I found in longer games the lack of card draw was hurting. 1-2 the Slaughter. It helps get rid of Planeswalkers, which you expect are going to be a problem, given the amount of good Planeswalkers that came out with Shadows over Innistrad. 4 Autumnal Gloom, which is possibly one of my favourite cards in this deck. It's just an innocuous enchantment that turns into a 4/4 Trample Hexproof. Again, it's quite common that you can have this flipped by turn 4, and once it's down, it's quite difficult to get rid of, which is very nice. Inexorable Blob, which is a nice 3-drop. It's one of the things that makes the deck more aggro. If you play a Blob on turn 3, activate Delirium on turn 4, you're attacking with 2 3/3s, which is nice. Mindwreck Demon, 4/5 Flying Trampler for 4 is a good deal. It does self-mill, so it enables Delirium, and a lot of the time the Delirium drawback, or the drawback of not having Delirium, I should say, you're not really going to suffer from, because in what I've found so far is you're going to be able to enable Delirium quite regularly. And we've got 2 Soul Swallows as well, just if the game does go long. This is a card I like the look of. It's divided opinion, but it's something I want to try, and something that I think has potential. And to finish things off, 3 Hangerback Walkers, which are great for enabling Delirium, in that they are both an artifact and the creature, so they put 2 card types into your graveyard when they die. There is still a fair bit of hate out for Hangerbacks that would exile them rather than kill them, which is something to look out for. But these are solid cards in this deck. Been impressed with them in the limited testing I've had so far. As I said, we're playing 23 lands. Evolving Wilds is an easy way to get lands into a graveyard. Hissing Quagmire. We are only playing 3 of them. I debated the 4th, but you don't want too many enter the battlefield tap lands. So currently only going with 3. 4 Lanoir wastes. It's the only other dual colour green-black land that doesn't come into play tapped. And then we're playing 7 forests and 5 swamps. In terms of sideboarding, it's important to think about the meta when sideboarding. So, for example, at the moment, I'm running 2 Virulent Plague because I'm expecting to come across a fair amount of token decks. Westbell Abbey is quite a popular card. White-green humans is a quite popular deck right now. So I think tokens are good. Going to be quite a common theme. So 2 Virulent Plague sideboard will help that. It is a non-bow with our inexorable blobs, it is worth noting. It doesn't kill the blob tokens, but it does make them sufficiently weaker. So if you were to sideboard in Virulent Plague, you have to really think about sideboarding out all those blobs. 3 Duress against any form of spell-heavy deck, particularly control decks. Liliana's a card I've been trying. I'm torn on whether Liliana is good. Without a guaranteed sacrifice outlet, I've discovered that she can be quite difficult to flip because your opponent can just play around her. So she's certainly one card I'm considering taking out. A couple of Languish, again, against aggro decks, against token decks. Languish is just great. 1 of Nixless for games that go long, control decks. 2 Jaddy Offshoot against aggro decks. Naturalized, because I do like to have some form of enchantment removal in my sideboard. There are a few decks I've seen going round. There's a blue-red Fevered Visions deck, a blue-green Sphinx's Tutelage deck. There will be other enchantment decks, like Stasis Snare, for example. So having a couple of naturalized in the sideboard is nice, especially at instant speed. And it does get rid of artifacts, so it can get things like Hangback Walker. We've got 1 Ulvenwald Hydra for games that are going to go long. And yeah, if games are going to go long, I think this card's insane. Particularly when you enable Delirium and you can tutor for it with Traverse, which is why you only need 1. So yep, that's the green-black Delirium deck. Hopefully we'll be putting it through its paces shortly, so I hope to see you in the first round.